Am I the a-hole for not inviting my father because he disowned me after knowing that I wasn't his biological child? Advice needed. So let's get into it, I guess. Almost a decade ago, my dad found out that my mom cheated on him with another guy years ago through my mother's sister. Back then, my mom and aunt weren't on good terms, so she told dad everything. My parents fought over this and dad filed for divorce. We all got DNA tested, and out of 3 children, I was the only one who wasn't his. It felt so bad to know that your dad who raised you for almost 16 years wasn't your dad. That didn't feel as bad as him kicking me out of his house when I was begging him not to. I wished I could just kill myself when he disowned me. My mom went into a depressive state and would just spend all day in bed and would just get out to use the toilet. My grandparents lived in a different state, but they did everything they could to make our lives better. I needed to come home from school, do all the chores in the house, and tend to my mom and check on her. I did everything that could possibly be done to make sure we lived. I would ask my mom who my real dad was, but all I got was screaming or a hit. My siblings and grandparents from dad's side tried to make things right between me and dad, but he wouldn't budge. Apparently, I was just a reminder that mom cheated on him and nothing else. I remember my 17th birthday when no one remembered that it was my birthday. I cried to the point where I didn't have any tears left. Even when I graduated from high school, only my grandmother came. Why didn't my feelings matter to anyone? Why was I supposed to endure this? After I returned from my graduation, I told mom that I was leaving if she didn't tell me who my real dad was, and this time she did tell me who he was. I met him after finding where he lived. I discovered that I have a half-brother, and that my real father was a widower and a doctor. He didn't know that I existed, or the fact that mom was married. It took us time, but we built a bond, and he helped to get through college, and he walked me down the aisle. He even got mom some help, and I am forever grateful to him. Well, the present time I, 26F, was married to my lovely fiancée last week, and I didn't invite my ex-dad to my wedding. He tried to contact me before the wedding, but I didn't want anything to do with him. My siblings and grandparents from my ex-dad's side say I am wrong, and that he wanted to come and make things right, but I don't want to make things right. He had the right to abandon me, so I have a right to do the same. He isn't my father. He was once upon a time, but not now. I understand that he was hurt, but I was hurt too. Everyone tells me to let go of the grudge, but I just don't want him in my life, and no, I won't give him another chance. My husband understands, but no one else seems to understand what I had to go through to get to where I am now. He cannot just come into my life 9.5 fucking years later and expect things to be alright. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife because she didn't let our daughter get an abortion? Hello, Reddit. I am coming to you for somewhere to look. Honestly, I'm just in so much shock I don't know what to do anymore. I, 39M, have been married to my wife, Clarissa, 45F, for almost 19 years. 14 years ago, we welcomed our baby girl into the world, Kate. Me and Clarissa both grew up Mormon and were planning on raising Kate under the same morals. We were an incredibly happy family full of love until around Kate's 12th birthday. She started keeping secrets, little lies that we'd catch her in. It was never anything too serious, but enough to spark some concern. I made sure to try and redirect her by telling her that the bishop is always open to talk and the church is there for her as well. Eventually, she stopped lying as much as she did, and we were finally able to trust her. Things took a turn for the worse when she sat me and her mother down for a talk. She told us she was 7 weeks pregnant, and she didn't know who the father was. Me and my wife were shocked. I didn't know what to say or how to address the situation. Unfortunately, my wife was already talking before I could even wrap my head around what was happening. My wife demanded to know who the father was, and through many tears, my Kate finally told us. It was a boy she met at church months prior who had recently left for a mission. I was willing to hear my daughter out. I was willing to push my religion aside to give her the option of what she wanted to do with the pregnancy, but my wife shut it down. She said abortion was absolutely not allowed, and it would not be happening. Kate started sobbing profusely, begging her mom to please change her mind. However, Clarissa is a very stern woman. She doesn't change her mind, so I knew the decision was made. That night, after I made sure Kate was sleeping, I climbed into bed next to my wife so we could talk about what was going to happen. I told her that Kate deserved the choice like any other woman, but she wasn't having any of it. She told me it wasn't right, and the church completely goes against it. I was going to fight for Kate harder, but Clarissa just shut me down and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up before everyone in the house. I made the girls breakfast, and after Kate left for school, I sat my wife down. I told her that I couldn't support her decision, and that if she couldn't give Kate the option, we needed to divorce. She lost her mind and went crazy, screaming throughout the house and throwing things at me. I left for my brother's house and have been here since. I'm not sure what to do anymore. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole? My boyfriend says I look slutty with my new sleeve tattoo. Throwaway account because my boyfriend knows my main, and I don't want this to get back to him. I, 26F, recently got a sleeve tattoo that I'm super proud of. It's a wolf face surrounded by flowers and other patterns. I think it looks amazing, and it's something I've wanted for a long time. I've never had any issues showing it off in public or at work. It's not inappropriate or offensive, just a personal piece of art that means a lot to me. The problem? My boyfriend, 28M, absolutely hates it when I show it in public or at work. He says it's too much and that people will judge me or think less of me because of it. He even suggested I cover it up when I'm at work, even though my job is totally fine with tattoos, or when we go out together. He's even gone so far as to say that people will think I'm slutty because of it. That comment really hurt me, and now he's making me feel so bad about the tattoo that I've started thinking about removing it altogether. It's like he's ashamed of me for having it, and it's gotten to the point where I've cried over it more than once. I'm doubting my own decision to get something that I once loved because of how much his words have been getting to me. I've tried explaining that it's my body and my choice to show it, especially when it's something I'm proud of. But he keeps saying that it's about how others will perceive me, and he just doesn't like the idea of me being on display. I'm honestly frustrated because I don't think I should have to hide a part of myself just because he's uncomfortable with it. I've never given him a reason to think I'm doing this for attention or anything, but he keeps bringing it up like I'm being disrespectful to him by not covering up. Am I the a-hole? Edit. We did discuss the tattoo before I got it, and while he wasn't very convinced, he didn't actively stop me from going through with it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for suing my cousin for $6,000 to pay for my hearing aids after he threw me in the pool? My family is all on my cousin's side for this issue, and I wanted some outside judgment. My cousin, 25M, has always been the golden child of our generation. He's funny, good-looking, and outgoing, not to mention a boy amongst girls. He's always loved to mess around and play pranks. For the record, I really dislike this cousin. I think he's irresponsible, childish, and annoying. I have had hearing problems for years. I recently got a $6,000 pair of hearing aids. Recently at my grandmother's birthday party, we were all eating and drinking on the back porch. My grandmother has a pool. My cousin decided he was going to throw me in the pool because it would be funny to ruin the hair that I had just gotten done that day. I repeatedly told him to stop and put me down, in a very serious and not playful at all tone. He threw me in the pool, and my hearing aids were ruined. Afterwards, when I told him what happened, he basically said, "Whoops, didn't know you had hearing aids now." When I told him the cost of them and that he would have to replace them, he freaked out and said no way. My family didn't want me to make him pay for them because I significantly out-earn him and also everyone else in the family. He was in college at the time, barely making ends meet in a call center job. His girlfriend and he have a baby, and they live in a one-bedroom apartment. He refused to pay, so I took him to court. I won. He refused to make the payments after, so I took him back to court, and his wages are now being garnished for the maximum amount, which is 20% of his total wages. It pushed him over the edge of what he could afford, so he's had to work extra and drop out of college to be able to pay their rent. My family is absolutely fuming at me. I think he made one bad choice after the other, and he has never given a sincere apology during this whole ordeal. Had he given a real apology after the incident and asked if he could wait till he finished school to pay me back, I would have been fine with it. But the entitled little prick is digging his feet in at every move. Am I the a-hole? The only reason I could see me maybe being the a-hole is because it's affecting his child and girlfriend. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying no to my girlfriend's tradition? Advice needed. I am 30, lost my younger brother when I was 22. He had cancer and fought very hard. Ever since I've been donating blood on the anniversary of his death every year. I take the day off from work, visit his grave, donate blood, and then come home, relax, and watch his favorite movie. I know it's a simple, personal tradition, but it means a lot to me. My girlfriend of 9 months, Anna, F, 31, asked if I could meet her and her mom. I have met her many times before, and it wasn't the meet the parents for the first time situation, for lunch yesterday. I told her no and explained again about what I did on my brother's death anniversary. She got upset and said, "Well, it's my tradition to have lunch with my mom every time she's in town, and she really wanted to see you. You can do your stupid blood donation tradition any day." I explained to her that it's not just about the blood donation. Later in the evening, while I was resting and watching my brother's favorite movie, she texted me again, asking me to join them. I reiterated that I really didn't want to and would hang out with her mom next time. She replied that I had embarrassed her in front of her mom with my selfishness and laziness. Since then, she's been distant. Do I owe her an apology? Am I the a-hole? Update. I texted her that we needed to talk. She never replied. Just blocked me from everywhere, social media, WhatsApp. Her best friend who was following me on Instagram blocked me too. I'm not sad. I wanted to end it anyway. Thank you for your support, everyone. I really appreciate your kind comments. Some users suggested that my brother/remembrance tradition saved me from getting serious with her and a lifetime of misery, and it made me smile. Thank you again.